Improving in Fortnite these days with how sweaty some people are at the game can be quite challenging. Well, today I'm going to show you how to improve at Fortnite Battle Royale with your building, with the basics in an actual game. We aren't playing any creative. We're going to load into a solo match here today, and I'm going to explain my building and what I'm doing and how these simple tips and tricks can actually help you out. Make sure you stick around for the whole video, because even if you're a professional at the game, or even if you're super goated at the game or better than me, I guarantee there is some tip you're going to pick up here and be like, oh, I never thought of that, and it's going to help you in the future. So without further ado, I'm already loading into a game. Let's get straight into it. So first thing I want to do here today is I want to kind of drop a little bit slow. Not because I'm scared or anything, but because this is my first game of the day. And on top of that as well, I'm trying to show you guys a tutorial. I'm not trying to drop no 20 bomb right here. I'm not trying to drop no 15 bomb type of win, but I'm just trying to show you guys how to build better at the game. Now, in order to build better at the game, you don't have to be the most cracked player. You just have to be smarter than everyone else. A lot of the issues with Fortnite players these days, they think it's one way to play the game. They don't really think about what they're doing, and they don't really think about how is this going to help me in this gunfight. And that's what I'm going to be showing you today. So obviously, first thing you want to do is, while trying to improve your builds and build better at the game, is you want to farm. If you're not farming, you're not going to be able to build. If you don't have mats to build, then you're just going to lose every single fight you come into. So make sure you're farming up as much as possible. As well with farming, make sure you hit the center of those dots. It actually does give you extra mats, and it breaks the build faster. Rather than pickaxing the same thing for a large amount of time, you pickaxe it for a lot less. Something else you really want to get down packed as well for building better in the game is your settings. Your settings really matter a lot more in Fortnite than you know. If you are playing on PC, I do recommend playing on performance mode. If you have low ping, you can play on low meshes. If you have high ping, I recommend playing on high meshes. Now the reason for this is, when I found I played on low meshes, I'd get shot through my builds a lot more, because the builds would render on my side before they render on server side. So if you play on high ping, play on high meshes. I normally have around 60 to 70 ping. Sometimes this is 40 to 50, which I don't understand because I live on the opposite side of Oz, but that's just the way it is. Something else what you want to do is you want to make sure you make your keybinds for your builds your own. I did make a video on this previously about how to place all your builds and where to change your binds, so do check that out if you haven't yet already. And you want to make sure you have scroll wheel reset on, which is here. You want to have your building edit to use scroll wheel mouse down, and the same for your reset building edit. What that means essentially is, when I place a build here and I want it to edit it, and I want to fix that edit that I just did. For example, if I've done an edit like this and I want to reset it, I don't have to press any other buttons than scroll my roll. I don't have to press any other buttons other than scrolling my scroll wheel backwards. Now this actually saves you a lot of time, and there's a lot less input, so I do highly recommend it. Alright, one of the first big tips you want to get down packed here today is, when you see someone, pretend if, for example, there was someone at this crate over here. What you want to do when you see them, the minute you see them, you want to build. If you just start shooting right away, they're going to hit more shots on you, and they're probably going to build and have more cover and then shoot back at you before you have good shots on them. Sometimes if someone's completely facing the other way or shooting at other people, so for example, if they're facing like that wall there, or if they're facing inside there shooting at someone, you can get a couple of free shots before building. But I normally recommend always building, unless the other person is in a fight completely distracted. So some people, what they do is, when they go to build, they just place a couple walls first. Now this is what you don't want to do. This is the wrong way to build. If you see someone, what you want to do is you want to place a ramp. Now the reason you want to place a ramp is because you want to get high ground. When you play Fortnite, high ground is one of the most important things you want in the game. You don't want to place one ramp like this, but you want to place a wall as well, so if your ramp gets shot at, it doesn't break right away. So instead you have this wall protecting, so if they shoot at you, they'll shoot at the wall first and then the ramp. I actually just saw someone in front of me here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get high ground. So I'm going to build a couple more times like that. You don't have to build that fast, remember, and just keep a little idea of where they are. Something you want to take note of is, while building better, is also peeking better. When you see someone, you want to peek at one direction. But you don't want to peek at this one direction constantly. For example, if that guy hit me and I went back into cover, I don't want to peek that same side, because they're going to expect that. You want to always peek somewhere different, like this, or even like this, to throw them off so they don't hit shots on you. So I hope a lot of those tips have helped you out so far, but could you do me a favor and help me out real quickly? It's real easy. All you have to do is leave the video with a like rating and subscribe down below. These videos take a while to make, and look at this percentage of the amount of people subscribed versus not subscribed who watch my videos. I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 1,000 before the end of February, so maybe one day we could get monetized and make a little bit of money off these videos I put so much time and effort into. While building better in Fortnite, it's also important to loot better. Say if, for example, there was a lot of loot and it was all stuck in one corner here, what I wanted to do when looting it is I actually wanted to box up. This gives you a little bit more time, and it stops people third partying you so easily. As you can see here, while I'm rotating to zone as well, I'm farming lots of mats. so I can ensure that I'm not going to run out of mats during my fights. Now, say for example, there was people shooting at me and I needed to heal up. Running into a building is not the play, especially with how good players are these days. You want to box up. Boxing up is the act of placing yourself inside a box by placing 4 walls around you and a roof. You can double up this roof by placing a floor as well under your cone to make sure if someone gets on top of you, they don't beam you lot. Now, you might expect this is the right way to heal like this, but there's actually another step to this. What you want to do is you want to place another cone inside your box so you're not easily approachable from the bottom, or if someone pushes you and breaks this wall, you can edit your cone up as well to give you more cover, just like a stair. Now you might think this is enough. Well, let me tell you, you're wrong. What you want to do is you want to do this twice. And you want to have this part open. Now the reason you want to do this is so when someone goes to push you, it's a little bit harder for them. They're not pushing one wall. They might not know where you are directly inside your box as well. And say for example, if they take this wall, what you can do here is you can edit this cone up so you're protected. You can go out like this. And then in between you have now three layers. So rather than them having one wall and just being on your side right away, for example, if this wall was taken, I'll represent it in brick for you so it looks different. If someone takes this wall and they're hard pushing me on that side, what I wanted to do here is I would want to edit this up so I've got an extra layer of cover. I want to edit back one, reset it so they can't come through, and I want to edit that up one. Then that gives me extra time to heal. And also, even if they didn't take that wall, it makes people a little bit more confused because it's not so linear where I would be inside that box. It's not like I'm definitely going to be on one side inside that box. I could be on any side. Similar to how I was explaining when you box up, how you want to have builds in between you, or you want to have 2 boxes in between you. You want to do the same thing for whether you're getting pushed by someone. So a lot of the time what I see happen is when players are getting pushed, they kind of build a bit sporadically and kind of spam their builds around. Now this not only wastes a lot of builds for you, and it makes it a little bit easier for someone to target you because your builds will be concentrated on one side. For example, this is not going to confuse anyone because there's more builds on this side where you've been panic building because that's where you're standing. What you want to do typically is you want to kind of form a box around you and place a ramp. Now this is going to stop people immediately being able to shoot you because you're going to have 2 layers of cover once more, and then you kind of want to back it off so you have multiple layers in front of you. Looks like I might get pushed by the Spider-Man here, so we might have a fight in a second. I'll try and make sure I narrate that throughout. It is a little bit hard these days to keep your narration going during fights, so I might be doing that in post also. Something that's also very important to take note of to build better is to never build around ziplines. Ziplines can immediately break builds, and I've seen a lot of people make mistakes by building around them. If someone built near this zipline, I would simply take the zipline to break the builds and get into their face. So I do have people in front of me here. So something I want to do is when I'm building out a little bit, is I want to place a few builds. Now these builds aren't for me to hide in cover, but just to get first shot protection. As you can see, there's people here directly in front of me. So I actually don't want to just be standing out in the open, but what I want to do is I want to build like this and cover myself inside of a box. What I can do is build a window here and then a roof, so it's a little bit easier for me to peek out where people are. Something as well that's really important to take note of, you can actually see outside of your box even when your box is here. What you want to do is edit the first part of the roof and then edit your cone, and you can have a look around. It's great to have a good idea of what's around you before having to push towards people, because it gives you extra cover. A really common mistake I see what a lot of players do, especially in top 10 situations as well, when I get a lot of wins, is they kind of hide under builds before a fight. Now you don't want to hide under someone's builds, because at any moment they could appear in front of you and they could break those builds. Now as I said before, you don't want to peek at the same place twice. So I did peek from this corner before, so now I'm going to peek from here. And then I'm going to go down and I'm going to build out a little bit. And I'm going to peek from somewhere else. As you can see, this guy's sporadic building, but I could tell they were in this corner here because these are the most recent builds. And that's where they were. Now I'm going to show you how to build outwards when you have someone in front of you and you're trying to take cover. So what you want to do is you want to tarp out. Now tarping out is quite simple. Basically you just place walls as you run out, and you edit those walls and you place them again right away. There's other ways to tarp as well, where you can place yourself inside of a box like this, which does make you harder to hit, but also if you stuff it up, it can be quite bad and it can be quite easy for people to see you. So I'm going to keep tarping out here because I don't want to get hit by people. Now this is a bit extra for a pub, But with how people's aim is and how sweaty this lobby is so far, I do think it is the right play. I'm running a little bit low on mats here, so I'm going to farm out a little bit more. There is only 3 players left in this game as well. Also note, during this build, what I'm doing is I'm covering myself most of the time and keeping an eye of where this person is. Note as well when I'm building here, I'm not building simply. And when they try to approach me, I place 2 walls up, so it's harder for them to hit me. I'm low on builds here, so I am going out like this. And unfortunately I'm dead there because I ran out of mats. Alright, there's a bunch of people here, so let's just dip out of here. This is the tutorial how to build better, not how to get high kill games, which will be something in the future. Alright, let's try and get some better loot here before we get back into the next part of the tutorial, right? So the next important build step I'm going to be showing you here today is called back ramping. Now, you might be seasoned at the game and you probably 90 or you know what 90 is, but do you know what back ramping is? Now, back ramping is an old age Fortnite building technique. So essentially, normally when you want to get height in a fight, because height is key because you can hit easier headshots and it's less likely you're going to get hit, you crank 90s. Cranking a 90 is placing 2 walls and then placing a stair. Sometimes when you crank 90s, you have to place a floor as well in order to get height. Now this does use a fair bit of builds, and it also makes you exposed because you keep turning 90 degrees, so you're always open on one angle. But say if, for example, you knew where someone was and they're directly in front of you and you want to get height, cranking 90s is not the wave because you will get hit. What you want to do is you want to back ramp. Back ramp is placing a wall here and then placing a ramp and then jumping on it. You can add a floor in between all of this to make your building a little bit more secure, but it's completely not needed. You can just place a wall and then a ramp, and you can do this as slow as possible. And look how easy I got that height here. It's important to take note, in Fortnite you never really want to build higher than 4 stories high. Now what is 1 story in Fortnite? 1 story is 1 build, so building to this height here is actually undesirable because you can take fall damage once you reach this height. So say if, for example, you do get into a build battle and you are fighting someone and you've built 4 stories up, what you want to do is you kind of... Alright, see how this guy's overbuilding? That's not like precise, that's not concise. What we want to do is box up here. And just hit an easy shot on them. See, as you can tell, that guy was building way too much and kind of a sense of panic building. What I did there is I boxed up. Boxing up means that I had all cover here in front of me, and then when they went to take my wall or to try and hit me through my wall, all I had to do was edit, and then I had an advantage on shooting where they were. A lot of players don't do this anymore based on the SMG meta, but it really is the better play to take. All you have to do is box up, wait for them to approach the wall. The minute you see them approaching their wall, what you want to do is shoot your gun at them, edit and shoot. Something to take note of though, some players might be waiting for you to do this. If a player is standing out the front with a shotgun waiting do not edit right away. If you edit right away, they're going to shoot you first because it takes a second to pull your gun out. If you are going to do one of those edits, if you see them waiting, you want to do a P&J edit. So a P&J edit is basically like this. Why is it called P&J edit? I don't know. It's just what it's called. So you want to edit like this. Now this is going to give you cover here, and then what you want to do is you want to hit a jump shot on them. Now they might try to do this back to you, but because you're doing the edit, you should be able to get the advantage and should be able to take the shot. Other types of edits to confuse people as well. Say if someone was waiting outside of your box and in front of you, rather than editing and going to shoot them right away, pretend this log is someone. So say if that person had their gun out and they're waiting for me to edit, what I can do here is edit a window, and then I can place a box there. So then I've got more piece control, so it's harder for them to actually place builds around me. So we're just going to rotate to zone here, and we're going to get some more mats because I've been wasting all my wood. So building in Fortnite has to do a lot with situational awareness, covering yourself more than once with multiple builds, and also not wasting your builds. Spam building is not the wave in Fortnite. If you can box up, box back one, that's the wave. So similar to how I showed you before, if that person started shooting at me, this is a better example because my builds won't place in the ground here. I want to place like this, and then I want to go back one and place again. So that means in order for that person to hit me, they either have to change to this wall, which can be quite confusing, especially if I'm sitting in like the back corner over here, which is going to be harder for them to hit, or they have to shoot through 1, 2, 3, 4 builds in order to hit me rather than the common one. Now there was someone quite close to me a second ago shooting wolves. So it's good to stay situationally aware and kind of have an idea where they are. So rather than approaching right away, what I'm doing here is I'm building up, getting high ground on natural builds. Now it's important that I didn't build heaps here because it's not going to give away my position, so if I want to take a sneaky peek, I can. So there was 2 people on this side and they are going to have to hard push because of zone. So I should be able to get a free shot on them. I did break their tire there, so it is going to make them drive a lot slower. And what I am going to do here is I'm just going to rotate to zone because they jumped out of the car, and if they hit me, I would have taken fall damage. So I was using a lot of those trees as my coverage. You see, building up here, walls to cover myself, building up, build up twice, and then just place a bunch of cones. You can see I hit that nice little edit on them there, and they died really quickly. Not my games here tonight, not at all. But as you can see, a lot of those techniques in building actually helped me out throughout all of that. Remember, a lot to do in Fortnite has to do with not only building and not only shooting, but your playstyle. For example, a great rule in Battle Royale is to never stand still, a massive mistake I just made then. I will be making more beginners guides to Fortnite and more guides on how to improve at the game that should be able to help players of any skill level. So make sure you subscribe to stay tuned to all of that, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye!